Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we really unpack the essential insights from the information that you need to know about.
Exactly. Taking complex sources and boiling them down.
And today we're digging into Cognyte. They're a pretty big name globally in investigative analytics software.
Right. And you shared a really comprehensive report on them.
Yeah, and our mission here is simple. Get a really solid grasp of Cognyte. What's their story? What do they sell? How are the financials looking?
Where do they fit in the market? What are they up to lately?
Exactly. Risks, opportunities, the whole picture. We want to give you, our listener, a clear and insightful overview.
Okay, sounds good. It's an interesting company. Definitely worth unpacking.
So let's start with the basics. Company profile, what jumps out from the report?
Well, the first thing is this interesting mix of newness and history.
How so?
Okay, so the report says Cognyte itself was founded in May 2020, incorporated that year, and then became independent in 2021. That was after a spin-off from Verint Systems.
Pretty recent then, as an independent company.
Right. But, and this is the key part, their actual roots go back 30 years inside Verint, all focused on developing these investigative analytics solutions.
Ah, okay. So young company, but built on decades of experience. That is an interesting dynamic.
It really is. They're not starting from scratch, technology-wise.
And location, where are they based?
Headquarters are in Herzliya, Israel, 33 Mesquita Street.
Herzliya, that's a major tech hub, right? Puts them right in the middle of all that innovation.
Absolutely. Known for it. And it's not just Israel. They've got a global presence, offices mentioned across Asia, Europe, North America, basically 6 continents.
Wow, so serving clients all over the world. That Israeli tech scene must be a big influence, I imagine.
Probably. Access to talent, that whole ecosystem pushing innovation forward, and the global footprint just shows the scale they're operating at.
Okay, so we know who they are and where they are. What about their sort of core purpose? What are they actually trying to do?
Right, the mission. According to the report, it boils down to empowering organizations, mostly government, but others too, with actionable intelligence.
Actionable intelligence, meaning?
Meaning insights they can actually use to, as they put it, create a safer world. The goal is to make investigations faster and more effective, better decision-making.
So helping security organizations protect things through analytics.
Exactly. Using innovative tech for that. Their vision is basically to lead the security analytics market. Advanced tech, global impact.
Do they have a tagline or anything like that?
See further. Act faster. Kind of sums up the value proposition, right? Deeper insight, quicker response.
See further, act faster. Got it. And core values.
Trust, innovation, and making a positive impact. Those are the ones highlighted. It gives you a sense of their guiding principles.
Yeah, it does frame things nicely. Okay, so that's the why. Let's get into the what. What are the actual products and services here?
Okay, so they have a pretty broad portfolio. It's all centered around investigative analytics, tackling different security challenges.
Like what specifically?
Well, there's the core investigative analytics, think data mining, AI analysis to spot and prevent crime, terrorism, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Then there's operational intelligence, getting real-time insights to adapt quickly during active situations. Threat intelligence is another big one, finding and stopping threats faster.
Sounds comprehensive. Anything particularly cutting edge or, unique?
Well, they're network intelligence solutions. Use AI and machine learning on massive amounts of network data. It's pretty sophisticated.
Makes sense, given the data volumes involved.
And they even have blockchain analytics.
Oh, interesting. For crypto crime?
Exactly. Using AI to speed up investigations into illicit crypto transactions, raising funds on the blockchain.
That's definitely a sign of the times. What else? Cybersecurity.
Yep, cybersecurity solutions too. Identifying and mitigating cyber threats.
Okay, that's a lot of different tools. How do they all connect? Is there a central platform?
Yes, that's NEXYTE, their decision intelligence platform. The idea is it brings together data from all these different sources into one AI-driven workspace.
Sort of a command center for investigations?
Kind of, yeah. Designed to streamline things, speed up resolutions. They also have something called Luminar.
Luminar?
That's their external threat intelligence software. Gives a wider view of the threat landscape.
Got it. And it's not just software, right?
No. They also do customized solutions, training, service maintenance, the whole package.
And the tech behind it all. AI, big data.
Definitely. AI, big data analytics, advanced machine learning are core, and importantly, their platform architecture is designed to be open.
Open architecture? Why is that significant?
It means it can integrate with other systems customers already have. That's huge for flexibility and avoiding vendor lock-in.
Right, so you can plug it into your existing setup. That makes a lot of sense. So the real aha is seeing NESXYT pulling it all together and that open design for adaptability.
Precisely. That flexibility is a key selling point, I'd imagine.
Okay, let's shift gears. Finances. How's Cognyte doing on that front? What did the report show?
Well, the recent numbers look pretty positive, actually. For fiscal year 2025, revenue hit $350.63 million.
Okay, and how does that compare?
That's an increase of almost 12%, 11.88% to be exact from the previous year, FY 2024.
Nice growth. What about profit or loss?
They still had a net loss in FY 25, but it improved significantly, down to $12.05 million, much better than the $15.57 million loss in FY 24, and way down from a $114 million loss in FY 23.
Okay, so losses are shrinking. What about more recent quarters?
Q4 of FY 25, revenue was about $94.5 million. That's roughly a 13% increase year over year for that quarter.
Good momentum then. Any other key indicators?
Yeah, adjusted EBITDA, that's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, adjusted for certain items. It jumped to $29.1 million in FY 25.
How does that compare?
It more than tripled from the $9 million they had in FY 24. So a big improvement in underlying operational profitability.
Wow, tripled. And what are they forecasting?
The forecast for FY 2026 looks pretty optimistic. They're projecting revenue around $392 million, and they expect profitability to increase significantly along with that.
So, strong recent growth, shrinking losses, and a positive outlook. That sounds promising. I do recall seeing a dip earlier, though, between FY22 and FY23.
Ah, yes. Good
Yep.
catch. The report shows revenue dropped quite a bit then, like 34%.
Why was that?
That seems largely due to the spin-off from Verint in 2021. Restructuring, finding their feet as a standalone company. It often takes time to stabilize and ramp back up after something like that.
Right, that makes sense. So that dip needs context. The recent growth suggests they're past that initial adjustment phase.
Exactly. It looks like they've established their independent momentum now.
Okay, beyond the headline numbers, what about margins and other financial trends?
Yeah, gross profit margin is definitely worth noting. In FY25, it was over 70%, 70.42%.
That sounds pretty high for software and services.
It is quite strong. And it even ticked up slightly in Q4 to 71.5%. Shows they managed the cost of delivering their solutions well.
Any other trends?
Recurring revenue, that's growing. In Q4 FY25, it's up over 10% year over year. And for the full year, it made up 53% of their total revenue.
Over half their revenue is recurring now. That points towards stability, right? Predictable income.
Absolutely. It suggests customers are sticking around, signing longer-term deals, less reliance on big one-off contracts.
And operating losses.
Also improving. The GAAP operating loss dropped significantly in FY25 compared to FY24, down to about $5.1 million from over $18 million. So better cost control overall.
Okay, so strong gross margin, growing recurring revenue, tighter operating expenses. Sounds like a healthier financial picture emerging.
That's the trend the numbers suggest, yes.
What about their cash situation, balance sheet strength?
They seem to be in a better position there, too. Cash and equivalents, including restricted cash, were up to $113.1 million at the end of January 2025.
Up from
about $83.1 million the year before. So they built up their cash reserves.
And cash flow from operations. Are they generating cash?
Yes, they are. Net cash from operating activities was positive $46.8 million in FY25. That's also up from $34.6 million in FY24.
Positive operating cash flow is always a good sign. Anything else on the balance sheet or future indicators?
Yeah, RPO and backlog. Remaining performance obligations, or RPO, were substantial at the end of Q4 FY25, over $545 million.
RPO, remind me what that covers.
It's basically the total value of contracted future revenue that hasn't been recognized yet. So, signed deals for work still to come. Backlog is a similar measure, and that stood at over $415 million.
Okay, so those RPO and backlog figures suggest a pretty healthy pipeline of future business already locked in.
Exactly. They provide good visibility into future revenue streams, indicate strong potential for continued business.
So overall, the financial picture seems to be strengthening, growing revenue, improving margins, better cash flow, and a solid pipeline.
Based on these FY25 results and the FY26 forecast, yes, that appears to be the case.
All right, let's broaden the view now. Market position. How big is the market Cognyte operates in, and where do they fit?
It's a big and growing market. The report cites projections for the global threat intelligence security software market specifically. One suggests growth from about $15 billion in 2024 to nearly $28 billion by 2033.
Wow, nearly doubling.
Yeah, that's a 7% compound annual growth rate. Another report is even more bullish, projecting it could reach over $43 billion by 2033, which is more like a 12.4% CAGR.
Significant growth either way. What about the wider cybersecurity market?
Even bigger, estimated at $141 billion in 2025, potentially hitting $266 billion by 2030. That's over a 13% CAGR. So the tide is definitely rising in this whole space.
And Cognyte's slice of that pie.
Well, North America was the biggest market region in 2024 for threat intelligence. As for Cognyte specifically, the report mentioned their share in the cyber intelligence market was about 7.2% in late 2023.
Okay, 7.2% in that specific niche. That's a decent foothold in a rapidly expanding sector.
It is. It shows they're an established player within that segment, yeah.
So who are they up against? Who are the main competitors?
Oh, it's a crowded field. Really fragmented. They compete with companies specializing in different areas. You've got investigative analytics players like DataWalk,
Okay.
threat intelligence specialists like Recorded Future or Cyber6 Skill, network security companies like NetScout, and then the broader cybersecurity giants, Darktrace, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto Networks, the list goes on.
So competitors coming from lots of different angles.
Exactly. The report lists quite a few others too, Xbeam, Rayzone Group. It's definitely not a space where one or two companies dominate everything. It's very competitive.
With all that competition, what makes Cognyte stand out? What are their supposed strengths?
Well, their leading position in certain niches is one. Then there's that 30 years of experience inherited from Verint. That's a big one.
Right, the history.
Also, their broad portfolio of solutions, they cover a lot of ground. And their global reach, serving hundreds of customers in about 100 countries. Plus, their deep expertise, specifically with government and security agencies, is a key differentiator.
Makes sense. Any potential weaknesses or challenges mentioned?
The flip side of that government focus is potential controversy. The report notes past concerns about how their technology could potentially be misused, possibly enabling human rights violations. That's a significant ethical consideration and potential reputational risk for any company in this surveillance tech space.
Yeah, that's a really important point. The power of these tools comes with responsibility and scrutiny.
Absolutely. And on the business side, the challenges are what you'd expect in such a competitive market.
Yeah.
Aggressive competition, the difficulty of maintaining market share and profitability.
Keeping up with the innovation race.
Right. Plus, some competitors might have deeper pockets, longer customer relationships already established, or maybe just better brand recognition in certain areas.
So they need to leverage that experience, but also stay agile and innovative and manage those ethical dimensions carefully.
That sums it up pretty well. It's a balancing act.
Let's talk about recent news. What's Cognyte been up to lately? Any product launches or updates?
Yeah, quite a bit happening on the product front. They've rolled out significant enhancements to NEXYT, their main platform, really focusing on speeding up decision-making with data.
Okay.
And interestingly, they integrated NEXYT with Microsoft Azure.
Ah, the cloud partnership we mentioned earlier.
Exactly. For secure cloud deployment, but also to tap into Azure's AI services. That seems like a big strategic move.
Leveraging Microsoft's AI capabilities within their platform. Smart. Anything else?
Luminar, their threat intel software, got a major update too. They've integrated generative AI, AI capabilities into it. There's even a new AI-driven dashboard.
Gen AI popping up everywhere.
It really is. And one more thing the report mentioned, a long-standing customer actually expanded their use of Cognyte products to include the blockchain analytics solution.
Oh, that's a good sign. Existing customers buying more, especially the newer stuff like blockchain analysis.
Definitely suggests customer satisfaction and relevance of the portfolio. The AI integration across NEXYT and Luminar really seems to be a key theme, though.
Yeah, that Azure partnership seems critical for scaling that AI focus, too.
Agreed. Beyond products, we already touched on partnerships, the Azure one, and also a partnership with 4Inc.
4Inc, what's that about?
That one's focused on bringing their investigative analytics tools to the U.S. public sector. So another strategic move to expand reach, specifically in the U.S. government market.
Makes sense. What about people? Any changes in leadership?
Yes, several key appointments, actually. They brought in a new Chief Technology Officer, Dr. Roni Lempel.
What's his background?
Pretty impressive. Over 25 years in AI, search engines, machine learning, experience at Google and Microsoft.
Wow, heavyweight AI expertise right there.
Definitely signals their commitment to AI leadership. They also added 2 new board members, Matthew O'Neill, who has a background in law enforcement and government security,
Okay, relevant experience.
and Nurit Binyamini, with experience in finance and software companies. And there's more. Nadav Argaman, former head of the Israel security agency Shin Bet, was appointed Senior Strategic Advisor.
Former head of Shinbet. That's serious national security cred.
It certainly is. And finally, Earl Shanks became the new chairman of the board. He's been CFO at multiple public companies.
So a lot of new high-caliber expertise coming in, AI, government, finance, security.
Exactly. It really looks like they're strategically strengthening their leadership across key areas: technology, government focus, financial oversight. Seems very deliberate.
And is this translating into business? Any big contracts announced?
Oh, yeah. The report listed quite a few significant wins: a 3-year deal, over $20 million annually, with a national security agency.
Per year. That's substantial.
Very. Also, an EMEA national security agency invested over $5 million. A North American law enforcement agency placed a follow-on order, taking their total investment over $2 million.
Repeat business is always good.
Definitely. Plus, a contract over $1 million with a new top-tier EMEA law enforcement agency. An APAC national security agency expanded with a $4 million order.
They seem to be winning across different regions.
They are. 2 new agreements, totaling over $10 million, with a long-time APAC military intelligence customer focused on border security, and another $10 million expansion from an EMEA national security agency.
Okay, these aren't small deals. Lots of multi-million-dollar contracts, repeat business, new customers. It paints a picture of strong demand, especially in the national security space.
It really does. It shows that governments and security agencies around the world are actively investing in these kinds of capabilities, and Cognyte is winning a good chunk of that business. Demonstrates trust in their solutions.
Right. So, looking forward then, let's talk risks and opportunities. What are the main hurdles Cognyte might face?
Well, we touched on some already. The intense competition is a big one. The speed of technological change, they have to keep innovating constantly.
Sure.
Economic downturns could impact government budgets, which is a risk given their reliance on government contracts. Those sales cycles, especially in the U.S. federal market, can be really long too.
Bureaucracy and budget cycles, got it.
So, increasing data privacy concerns and regulations, like GDPR, are another factor. We mentioned the potential for misuse of surveillance tech and the negative publicity that can bring.
The ethical dimension again.
Exactly. Also, just the sheer volume of data that law enforcement has to deal with is a challenge in itself. And finding and keeping top tech talent in this security field is always competitive. Plus, the constant risk of cyber attacks against them or their clients.
Okay, quite a list of potential headwinds. What about the flip side? The opportunities?
Well, the biggest driver is the growing demand for security intelligence solutions overall. Global threats, sophisticated cyber attacks, securing critical infrastructure, these aren't going away.
So the market tailwinds are strong.
Very strong. There's a potential for Cognyte to expand into new geographies or even new industry verticals beyond government security. Strategic partnerships, like the Azure one, open doors. The shift towards cloud-based solutions is an opportunity if they execute well. Leveraging AI and machine learning advancements is obviously key. The growing need for specialized solutions, like their blockchain analytics for crypto crime, is another niche.
Focusing on emerging threats.
Right. And they could even turn data privacy and compliance into a competitive advantage if they handle it proactively. Their strong recurring revenue base gives them stability to pursue these opportunities. And generally, governments are increasing spending on cybersecurity and threat intelligence.
So it really is a landscape of significant challenges, but also major opportunities driven by global trends.
Absolutely. Success will depend on how well they navigate those risks and capitalize on those growth drivers. Strategic execution is everything here.
Okay, nearly wrapped up. Let's quickly cover analyst ratings and stock performance. What's the Wall Street view?
The current consensus among analysts covering Cognyte is basically hold.
Not buy, not sell, just hold.
Right. The average 12-month price target, based on the couple of analysts providing one, is $10, which, compared to its trading price in mid-April 2025, around $9.78, suggests only modest upside potential in their view.
Any specific analysts mentioned?
Needham and Evercore ISI reiterated hold ratings recently. Woodbush had previously raised their target but kept a hold. An April 2025 breakdown showed 0 buy ratings, 8 hold, and 0 sell.
All holds. Interesting. Any conflicting views?
Well, one source mentioned a slightly lower average target of $7.65 back in March 2025, but the more recent consensus seems closer to that $10 mark.
Okay. And how has the stock itself been doing, CGNT on NASDAQ?
It's actually shown some strong positive momentum recently. The report noted, as of early April, it was up over 22% in the past week and 53% over the last 6 months.
Wow, 53% in 6 months is a significant run.
It is. Year-to-date for 2025 was also positive, around 13%. The 52-week range was between $6.21 and $11.12. Market cap was hovering around $665 million to $704 million.
So, despite the hold ratings, the stock price has been moving up quite a bit lately. How do you square that?
It could be that the market is reacting positively to the improving financials and contract wins we discussed, maybe getting ahead of analyst upgrades. The hold might reflect some caution, perhaps waiting to see sustained profitability, especially given the negative price-to-earnings ratio currently.
Right, the PE is negative because they're still reporting net losses on a GAAP basis.
Exactly. So investors might be betting on the turnaround story gaining traction, while analysts remain a bit more wait and see.
Okay, that makes sense. One last area, technology and innovation. We touched on AI, but what's the overall picture?
They clearly put a big emphasis on R&D. The report calls innovation a core driver, with significant investments happening across their global tech centers.
Makes sense for a tech company.
Their solutions rely heavily on, big data tech, AI, visualization tools, all sorts of investigative methods.
And the new CTO, Dr. Lampel.
Right. Bringing him in with that deep AML background from Google and Microsoft really underscores their focus there. They're not just talking AI, they're hiring top talent for it.
And we saw the Gen AI in Luminar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actively integrating it. The Azure collaboration also boosts their AI analytics power. And one more thing, patents.
Do they have many?
Apparently, yes. A significant global patent portfolio, hundreds filed in various countries, especially the US and Israel. That shows they're developing proprietary technology and protecting it.
So definitely committed to staying on the cutting edge, focusing on AI, and building their own intellectual property.
That seems to be the strategy, yes.
Yeah.
Crucial in this fast-moving field.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this all up. We've covered a lot of ground on Cognyte. What are the main takeaways for you from this deep dive?
I'd say Cognyte stands out as a major force in investigative analytics, especially for governments and security clients. We've seen clear signs of recent financial improvement after that post-spinoff dip.
Right, the turnaround seems underway.
And there's a very evident strategic push towards AI and cloud integration in their products, like NXYT and Luminar. Plus, those big contract wins highlight their strong position and the trust they have in that specific sector.
So putting it all together, what's your overall assessment? Where does Cognyte stand?
It really appears Cognyte is on a positive path right now. They seem to be navigating the challenges of a tough market pretty well, and they're definitely tapping into that growing global demand for security intelligence.
But keeping the challenges in mind.
Oh, absolutely. The competition isn't going away, the ethical considerations are always present, and they need to keep executing on that innovation strategy. But the momentum seems favorable at the moment.
That provides a really clear picture. And that leads me to a final thought, something for you, our listener, to chew on. When you think about the kind of powerful analytical technology Cognyte and companies like it provide, especially in the security realm, what are the wider societal implications?
Yeah, that's the bigger question, isn't it?
What questions does this raise for you personally about finding the right balance between security, privacy, and other fundamental values in an increasingly data-driven world? Something to think about.
Definitely food for thought.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Cognyte.